So I think what we need to do first, let's recap on the last
Mm.
session we did. So where did we leave off last time?
So we were talking about personas, which I did create one persona.
Ooh.
Um but you gotta like help me like figure out if it's
Yeah,
okay.
sure, of course.
And then we
Definitely.
talked about like the characteristics of your brand to create like a mood board.
Mm,
Um and then characteristics of your potential like target audience as well.
mm.
And then
Okay,
you
great.
showed me like what's it called, free websites for like to create the mood board, so like Unsplash,
Mm,
Pexels, for like
mm.
that mood board. Yeah.
Okay,
And then
great.
you told
So
me to
yeah.
to
Oh,
also
carry on.
come up with it to come up with a name as well, potential name, for
Okay.
the thing. So I do have a name and I do have one persona. So that's what I
Amazing.
have. Yeah.
That's great. Great. Give it to me. What's the name?
Okay, it's called Small Chops.
Small Chops. Ah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's such a great name. Straight to the point. Love
Yeah.
it. Well done on that. And also what's so in terms of the persona, what did you come up with?
Okay, so what I figured, like based on like my own like personal things about what I see around my life, and then
Mm,
I figured like the ideal like customer would primarily be a woman. You
mm,
typically see like, especially in African cultures, mostly like women dealing with anything pertaining to food, or like,
mm,
those are typically the customers, whether they're the ones picking it up or ordering it. Like that's what I've seen like personally. So
mm,
I decided that so with this one persona, um, I put like around like age 33-ish, maybe like late 20s, sorry, like 28 to like 35. Um,
mm-hmm,
married, two children, um,
mm-hmm,
graduate of college, possibly a master degree holder.
mm,
I said their main job would be like an educator, probably like
mm,
elementary school students, event coordinator on the side. Typical income would be around like 75,000 yearly. What else did I write here?
mm,
Active on socials, like social media stuff. Has a husband who's usually like the typically the breadwinner of the family.
mm.
So
Okay. So active on social media and husband is particularly the main breadwinner
mhm.
of the family. Awesome. Great. And well done for doing that. That's very good. Tells you a bit more about the target audience that you're dealing with. So the people that you are, that this small chops is going to be speaking to will speak the language of this target audience. And
Mhm.
the colors and the whatever it is will appeal to that person. They seem like it's quite a young professional person, um, but they are an educator, which means that they have two kids and stuff. So you can make some assumptions based on this kind of stuff that you know
Mhm.
um, they do have a budget for investing in their brand and stuff, and because they're active in social media, that might be something that they might really care about in terms of the brand. So in terms
Yeah.
like you would give they will the value that they'll get a lot of value from social media related deliverables and stuff like that. Amazing. That's great work.
Mhm.
Okay, and in terms, did you get around to doing the brainstorming, or did you or like collecting the different images and stuff like that? Did you get around to
Oh
doing
no,
that
I
mood
didn't
board?
get around to
Not
do
yet.
that.
That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. So what you would normally do um is at this stage, provided that you've done the mood board and everything, which I
Mhm.
do still advise that you do,
Yeah,
because it'll
yeah, for
help you
sure.
visualize a lot more about
Mhm.
what's you could be inspired by. What you would actually do is start sketching, and when you start sketching, you'll get a lot of ideas. And I tell every designer, don't stop until you're completely dry. When you think that you've finished, you're not actually done. Um, you are actually just scratching the surface. So I'm going to try and find an example for you in my notebook here. so you could see how much um how much sketching I do. So there was a startup company that I was working for. It's like a tech company. And this is how it started. So this is
No.
me sketching down loads of ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they did data, they did like there's things to do with the climate and stuff like that. So I was just getting all
Yeah.
the ideas here. So the idea with this is to draw as many sketches as you can of the logo, but it doesn't matter how crap they are or how good they are. You just get the idea out. Some of these stuff, I'm just like, what the hell was I thinking? But you just you write them down. You just do them, and you continue. So there's 2 more
Wow.
pages. Yeah,
Oh
like
wow.
loads, and this is
Yeah.
why I say don't go straight onto the computer,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
because you need to get your ideas down onto paper.
So how do you
Yeah,
start like, sorry, how do you start
go
like
for
vetting
it.
them out? Like, how do
Um,
you, yeah,
so
because
to
that's a
vet
lot.
them, it is a lot. It is a lot. There's still even a bit more here as well.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the amount of work that's required. Some people do way
Mm-hmm.
more than this. Um,
Wow.
but to vet it, you kind of can, you would know which one works and which one you're fond of.
Yeah.
So while I'm sketching, I'm just like, okay, if when I do a digital version of this, will it work? Or does it send the right message? That's the main thing, is that does it send the right message to the target audience? Um, and that's how I vet it really. And sometimes it's like I'm just like, okay, I like this one and that one. So if you look at some of them, I put a tick on some of the images. So
Yeah.
like this one, I was like, well, I like the look of this. It's like a hand, but it's
Yeah.
also like
A
statistics. Okay, that's
leaf.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this one is like a G because it's called Greenway, and it's
Mm-hmm.
to do with the environment. So it has an arrow, it has leaves. Okay, I could do something with that. So if you look at certain
Yeah.
things, you could be like, okay, I could play with certain things here. These might be quite
Yeah.
fun to do. That's quite fun. That's quite fun. And these are the ones that I'll take and digitalize onto like Adobe Illustrator. So
Okay.
it's about taking a look and seeing which one actually sends the right message and
Mm-hmm.
highlighting the ones that you think will work. Um, Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
like, is drawing them small like a you thing, or do you like recommend like doing that as to avoid like detail, or like should
Oh,
you
that's
go
just me.
bigger, or that's just you?
There's
Okay,
no
okay,
rules. Yeah.
okay.
I just
Okay.
like to get the idea down.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just trying to save paper. That's just
I
me.
got you. I got you. I
But
got
you can draw them big, you can draw them small, there's
you.
no really any rule to that. And sometimes you might think of a word or something like, okay, hold on 1 second. Pause
Hmm.
this record. Yeah, so what I would normally do is sometimes I would actually write certain words that might correspond to oh gosh, there's even more here. Like
Hmm.
I just didn't stop, to be honest. Like I just
Yeah.
don't stop. This is
Hmm.
a different one. But sometimes I'll brainstorm, okay, there's a word here. What are the related words to this? Okay, an arrow, movement, and all that kind of stuff. How can I draw? How would I illustrate movement? So for you, you
Yeah.
could actually do like actually a literal brainstorm and say, okay, small chops. What does that represent? Okay, West African food. West African, do a branch there and be like, okay, maybe West African patterns,
Hmm.
ingredients, all this kind of stuff,
Hmm.
so that you can remember that these kind of things can send the right message as to what the company does, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It does. It does. And for
Mm.
like, when do you get to like, is the detailing of the logo only when you do digital, or do you like figure out which ones you like first, like the sketches, and then
Mm.
broaden them drawing, or do it when you do it digital?
I think you'll naturally get more detailed when you do the drawings. When you
Okay.
when
Yeah.
you because what's the idea is to get as many as you can on paper,
Mm-hmm.
put like a star next to the ones that you feel are quite strong, and then go to
Yeah.
Adobe Illustrator and start digitalizing them in black and white. So I'll see if I can show you an example. See if I can pop one up here somewhere. If I could find one, that would be great. If I can't, Maybe Archiserve. Okay, let me see if I can get this one up for you. That's not it. That's not it. Let's see now. So the idea is to get basically to digitalize it in a clean it up.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna open up one of these ones. I'm gonna use our logo actually. Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna use the Black Design Circle logo so you can see exactly how it came across. So if I just share my screen right now, Adobe Illustrator, there we go. All right, so you can see that, right?
Yes.
Right. So I would have done a lot of sketches on paper, but then the strong ideas I digitalize on the Illustrator on here. And then as you can see, I'm trying to like twist in it, add in different features. Naturally, what's going to happen is that you're going to end up, because it's digital, you're going to start seeing different opportunities to refine them. So what this started off as ended up being this, then 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 ended up being this. So you're going to naturally start thinking, oh, there's an idea. Let me make a copy of it and make a different variation of it. So when you go into it digitally, you're naturally going to start doing that. And you're like, oh, and sometimes you might think of a new idea that you haven't sketched out. So this thing I hadn't sketched out. I was like, okay, that could be cool. So I kept on refining it over and over and over again until I got to this, played with some fonts. And then, continued. There's a point it got to this point. I was like, oh, okay, it's getting stronger and stronger. So the idea is to get as many versions as you can. And refine it until you have something that is like, okay, this is close to what the final thing would be. And with any client, of course, this was for my personal thing, but with any client, I wouldn't actually. Sometimes you can actually just send them one version of a logo. If you feel like that logo is very strong, you can just send that one version of the logo. But what I would normally do with some clients, I would probably just send 2, 3 tops. I will send 3 tops max, but you can even send them 2 versions of the logo. And these variations should be ones that are kind of like, okay, they are quite different. So the direction of it was quite different. So if I said, okay, this was one version of the logo, but then I was like, okay, but then you have this, for example. Those 2 are very, very different ideas. So you're just trying to see where the client, which direction is correct. You're not trying to have a final logo. You're trying to have a logo that's in the right direction. And that comes from all the sketches you did beforehand. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I'm following you.
Yeah, you're following? Good. I like to make sure you're following and stuff because I don't want to vomit information and
No.
and it
I'm
don't make any
getting you.
sense.
I'm getting you.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
from the like your final logo, you still have like what do I call it? Like, do you have like sub logos too? Like maybe just okay. Now, would you start creating those after you got
Not
the
yet.
final logo or no?
Yeah, when they've chosen, imagine BDC was a client. And they said, okay, this is the one we like. We like this one. Then you go ahead and be like, okay, these are the variations that you would make.
Of that.
And these are the colors.
Got you.
But there's a lot more that we're going to cover with that area. But yeah, once they've chosen a final logo, and you're like, this is the logo, then you start creating the different variations of it, vertical, horizontal, whatever it is. And then you do that. But always, 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 always design on black and white. Always. Never start with color. When it comes to a logo, never start with color, because you want the logo to translate well in black and white, and not have to rely on color for it to make sense. That's why most logos are just in black. It's because it's just, that was more of like a printing thing, but thanks to that, logos are stronger when they make sense in black and white. So if you can do that, you wouldn't have to rely on color to make for the logo to work.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
Cool. Cool. Do you have any questions regarding that process?
I feel like I had one in my head, but then it just like slipped up.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
yes. Okay. So when it comes to like your final logos you've got in the final one you have your sub logos. Now when it comes to the client, which do you deliver to them? Do you deliver them the black and white as well, or just the final like colored
You deliver the
picture?
final one. Unless black and white isn't the color theme.
Mm.
So I will do a normal logo as with the
Mm-hmm.
colors that it's generally should be. Then I would
Yeah.
normally have an inverse version of that logo. That's normally like
Mm.
reversed colors. So that's
Yeah.
basically for darker backgrounds.
Mm.
Most of my logos don't have multiple colors. Most of them don't. But or they don't have many colors. They'll have maybe tops 3 colors. Um,
Okay.
but I'll design them so that they can work on a light background and a black on a dark background. So they have
Okay.
freedom to choose of the two. Because if you
Okay.
don't make a logo that has that works in dark backgrounds as well, you end up having to put like a box behind it and stuff, and it's just not very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So you creating the version on the light background and version on the dark background um is the most important thing. It doesn't have to be black and white with the final thing,
Yeah.
with the
And do
final
you
version.
think
Yeah,
that giving them like 3 options in the beginning to choose from can be a bit like, because I
it
feel
can
like
bite you in the ass.
yeah, I feel like the more I give them, the more they start thinking, then I just have to maybe like restart something, or that's why I feel like if I give them like less, it's less for them to like think about, because then
Yeah.
they won't like go all over the place, and then maybe
Mm-hmm.
you'd have to like start over with something like. So do you feel like three is can
Mm.
be much?
It can be. At
Okay.
it, my advice would be only do 3 if you have to. Don't do 3
Okay.
for the sake of having 3, which is the mistake a lot
Mm-hmm.
of designers make. They'll give 3 because they think 3, you need to give them options, but you don't have to give them 3. You can give them 1. It's like
Okay.
if the 1 is really strong, you can give them the 1
Mm-hmm.
and have a conversation around that. So these things are supposed to be conversation pieces and for them to give you information back to you. So when you show them as like, okay, you show them to get some feedback as to what could improve it or what could make it. Does it send the right message? And it's not about what they like. It's about whether it
Yeah.
sends the right message. Um, and if it sends the right message, then cool. But if it's you have to give more than 1, I would say it's okay to give 2. Some people say it's advised to give 2, so that you don't keep going around in a loop and trying new things. Um,
Yeah.
so giving 1, the risk of that is that it could be wrong and you have to go back to the drawing board. But if you give
Yeah.
people 2, they could be like, oh, they're gonna more likely to choose between one of them and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this one's more in the right direction, and then you progress even more. So I would say
Okay.
I would advise people to do 2 actually, just to do 2 and say which one is in the
Okay.
right direction. And based on that, you make small tweaks to that, then go back, show them again, and make another maybe a couple more variations.
Yeah.
By the second or third one, you want it to be like this. Want them to say this is the logo.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
So normally, how would
Okay.
that go for you?
Um, uh, Typically the same process. Let me see if I have some here in
Mm.
this book that I have. So for me, I kind of did the same thing like a while. I don't know if you can see
Yeah, I can
this.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of blurry. My camera is
Mm.
trash. I'm sorry. But yeah,
Sorry.
so I did like these. So this is about like 11, 11 different
Mm.
ones. So I didn't do as much as you did. And then I went and I did these like, see, the part that I didn't do that you did is like check off which one like I felt could work. I just
Mm.
digitalized everything because
Okay.
that's, I don't know, yeah. So I
Mhm.
digitalized everything, and then from there I started like tweaking them. And then I think I chose, if I remember, probably like 6 out of the 11 that I did, and I
Mm.
chose 6. So, I mean,
Oh.
they still chose like 1 out of it, but I think
Mm.
I did too much in that
Yeah.
process
Yeah,
for
you definitely
myself. Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I probably like did too much for myself in that process.
Mm.
Um, and also for the client, because they were taking like their sweet time and like
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out like what works and
Mm.
everything. And I felt like
Question,
now that
how
you
many
showed
people
me
were
this,
they?
no, it's just one person.
Okay, all right. When you said they, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it was like
No,
six
no, no, no,
people.
no, 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 no. I mean, yeah, just it's just one person. So like they were taking their time with like he was, let me say he, so you
Mm.
know, get confused. So like he was taking his time and like deciding which one, which kind of puts me
Mm.
back a little bit in the process.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, so now hearing what you're saying about like just checking it off and then working with like
Mm.
smaller options is definitely
Mm-hmm.
useful information for me like moving
Mm-hmm.
forward now. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's definitely an example of how people can get really confused. Um,
Yes, yes,
it's
yes.
because, like, I'll give an example. When I was working at an agency once, um, we were working on a website, and rather than telling the client you're wasting mine and your time, we were
Mm-hmm.
accommodating them too much, and they wanted to see this website in multiple colors. They want to see it in red, they
Mm,
want to see it in blue, they want to see it in green, they want to see it in purple, they want to see it in
yeah.
so many colors. And obviously, I was inexperienced at the time, so I thought this was normal.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a very toxic, that kind of client I wouldn't even entertain. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so that made the project drag. Whereas it should have been actually, what are your brand colors? So there's no point looking
Hmm?
at all these colors because they're not your brand colors.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just having those systems in place so that people don't waste your time. Because if they're wasting your time, it's a waste of money um
It is.
for
Yeah,
you. And that
for
time
sure.
we'll go through like maybe contracts and terms of agreements in another part, but
Yeah.
in your agreement, there needs to be something there saying we've agreed to this amount of variations max.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm going to charge you a day rate if we
Yes.
exceed that. And that's just to move the project forward, because if people
Yeah.
feel like they have all the time in the world, they're going to waste your time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You can't
So
blame them
how would
because we
you,
haven't drawn the line.
yeah. So how would you go about customer or clients, sorry, that feel like they know more than you do? I'm
I
pretty
want to
sure
work with
you've
them in the
dealt with.
first place, for
Okay.
to be
Well,
honest,
I'm saying like, what if you realize that during like this process,
during the
you're just
process.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I've dealt with some of them like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the funny thing about red flags is that sometimes you have a gut feeling that this client is just going to be a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And your normally your gut feeling is correct.
Yeah.
They can go off a vibe, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting bad vibes from this client. I probably shouldn't
Yeah.
work with them. But
Mm-hmm.
if you discover that during the project, that's why it's always important to refer back to the terms. So if they're being difficult, you refer back to the terms. But if they
Mm-hmm.
like their opinions are really strong, you have
Yeah.
to. There's a part of it that you have to be more. You have to be confident and tell them this isn't in line with the workshop we've done with you. Are you saying that
Oh,
you've changed your mind? Are you saying you don't know? You
yeah.
just need to refer back to these stuff. That's why the workshop is important, because you've already
Mm-hmm.
said this is who I'm targeting. So are you saying
Yeah.
that what's your opinion is, and you're not being rude, just are you saying what your opinion is more important than what your target audience needs?
Audience. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's those kind of questions, and they will stop and think like, and they'll respect you for it. But there are some people that
Mm-hmm.
are just like, no, I just want what I want. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, for those kind of people, get the project done as soon as possible. Give them what they want, get paid for it, and don't work with them again.
Yeah. How do
um,
you feel about putting your name on projects like that though? Like, you know what I'm
I
saying? Like,
don't.
okay. Because I was gonna
Yeah,
say, like,
yeah,
don't tell anybody I
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, because a lot of those projects they give me a bad taste in my mouth, and
Yeah.
if I'm not proud of the
Yeah.
end result, I don't bother
Mm-hmm.
putting it in my portfolio. It doesn't exist to me.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So
That's what.
there's a project I did, right?
Mhm.
And for a specific government that we're very close to. Um, and it's not the American government, and it's not the British government, but I don't want to get
Yeah.
attacked.
Yeah.
So I did a project, and this was a big project. And it's a government thing. Like it was huge, but I never. It was such a bad experience that I don't put in my portfolio. But
Mm.
it was a nationwide project, and all my stuff was all over the country.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and although like that there was a lot of issues with that project, in terms of
Mhm.
the people running it.
Yeah.
To this day, I haven't been paid for that project,
Oh man.
and this was many years ago. Yeah. But it's a learning experience, and I
Yeah.
don't, and you don't have to put every single project in your portfolio. You put the ones that you're proud of. Don't force the ones that you're not proud of to be there. There's no need. You want to be confident about the stuff you're showing.
Gotcha. And
Yeah.
one quick question, because you just
Sure.
mentioned that you didn't get paid for the project. Now, I know we're going to talk about like pricing and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So I what I've seen like most people do is they require like probably like a 50% deposit prior to, I guess that would be like after like you've established them as a client,
Mhm.
like before you start working. So you're
Yeah.
saying that you didn't even get that deposit and you
Oh
still
no, I did
worked?
not. That was a big
Oh,
mistake.
okay.
And
Oh,
I would
wow.
normally do that, but because I had a close relationship with someone that was working on the project with me, and I was promised, like, it was, I was close to the person.
Yeah.
I'm still close to that person.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
unfortunately, they were also screwed by that project. So the
Gotcha.
person that was in charge of me was the one that was paid me, but he can't pay me if they haven't given him any money. But I was doing it.
Yeah.
I was out of, like, I was helping him out as well.
Mm.
But unfortunately, no one really got paid. So,
Dang.
but normally,
Yeah.
yes, I would say 50% upfront.
Like
So
prior
that you
to
can start
the
doing it prior to you
discovery
starting
session,
anything. Yeah,
anything.
from the
Oh,
first phone call, just tell them how
okay.
much it costs and then 50% upfront, and don't do anything
Okay.
until you've got that
Until
50%.
you get it.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, get paid
Makes
first.
sense.
Always get paid first.
Got you.
Yeah, no favors. We don't do free work. We don't
Yeah.
do free work. There's sometimes, very rare occasions you do free work, but very rare. We don't do free work. I don't do free work.
Got you.
So
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
awesome. Anything else you wanted to cover while we're on the call?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to do the what's it called, the brainstorm, and probably have it for you like this weekend, probably like Monday the
Mhm,
latest.
mhm,
But just to recap, so what I'm doing is the from the 5 characteristics from the brand, that's how I'm
mhm.
gonna create the mood board, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and that consists of like the colors, like what it
Mm,
would look like, stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, got you. Just wanted to make
yeah,
sure. Okay,
yeah.
got you.
Absolutely.
And
So do that.
Google Slides, I'm sorry,
Google
Google
Slides
Slides
is
is
good.
fine. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's absolutely fine. Whatever works for you. Just copy and
Okay,
paste things in.
okay,
Yeah.
got you.
And then when you're done with that, make a start on the sketches. And
Of the
in
logo,
our
yeah,
yeah, and in our next
got
session,
you.
we'll go through your sketches, and see
Okay,
which ones are strong and stuff like that.
got you, got you.
Yeah.
I'll try to make them like big enough so you can see, because I know my camera's not the best, so
Like
I got you.
if you need to, you can just take a picture of it and Slack it to me,
And send.
and
Okay, yeah, that works
yeah, and then
too.
we can look at it
Yeah.
on the screen as well. So that should be absolutely fine.
Okay, got you, got you. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. If you like this clip, make sure you like, hit the bell, and subscribe so you see more videos like this. And if you're a Black graphic designer who wants to join a community where you can learn new skills and network with other people, hit the link in the description to join the Black Design Circle, and I'll see you there. Peace.